I'm here to introduce Nick. Nick is Vujicic, is our dear new friend. And Nick is an inspiration to all of us. He has touched the hearts of millions of people around the world. And if you look at some of his publications, this is not all. I don't know how many books you have now, Nick.
I just finished my fifth one.
Fifth book. Okay,
Yeah.
so I have 4 of the 5 here. So he's written, very well published, about his experiences in life. And especially this whole concept of your attitude makes the whole difference into what you can do, what you can become. Now, Nick is a very active person. As a matter of fact, I can't believe I can't do these things that he does. So he's a swimmer, he's a soccer player, he skis, he swims, he skydives. I mean, he's into everything. He'll probably talk about that a little bit later. I don't want to steal your thunder. But let me tell you, above all, he's got the coolest wife. Can I? And Nick and Paul, by the way, all of us who have wives, it's clear that we've married up. You've married up, Nick, right? You agree with that?
I'm only 3 foot tall. I married way up.
And then, of course, there's Nick's family, and I'm sure he'll be talking about these things. So why don't you join with me in welcoming Nick to the Virtual World Society and AWE. Okay, you're great. Love you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. It is a privilege and honor to be here. Thank you, Richard. Tom, honestly, my knees are trembling of honor to be up here. And no pun intended, but honestly, I've been on a lot of stages, and I just texted my wife this morning that I changed my flight because I don't want to go home yet. I'm really, really excited to go around on the floor throughout this building as much as we can and just experience and learn and grow in my own creative thinking and how to reach the world and make it a better place. My education background is accounting and financial planning. I did a double degree in accounting and financial planning. I'm president and founder of a nonprofit organization that's taken me around the world on 2,500 airplanes, 3 million miles around the world. The circumference of the Earth is roughly 24,000 miles. I've done 3 million miles around the world. And it's put me in front of 16 presidents to talk about integration of special needs children into society. The first president I met and shook hands with, I don't shake hands, I just hug everyone. I'm just a hugging machine. I hugged so many people, my arms fell off. But the scary thing about hugging everyone is someone can just pick me up and take me home, right? What am I going to do? Like maybe kick them or something, but that's about it. But meeting Nobel Peace Prize winner, Madame Salif, back in 2008 in Liberia, there are still countries in the world that actually kill children with disabilities. By law, by tribal belief. It's this relative swing and moving target of relative morality. And as I go around the world, and I actually as the first handicapped student in Australia in 1989 to go to a mainstream school, my family, I'm so proud of my mum and dad, they actually went to the courts in the education system of Australia to propose a new law of integration, and they passed the law. And we were so thankful to be the trailblazers for the millions of people in that whole part of the world, actually. And so we're so thankful as a nonprofit organization, Life Without Limbs, to go around the world. We've given $1 million away to the poor and needy. I'm 34 years old. We haven't even scratched the surface yet. They say I run so fast I leave my legs behind. And then I'm also president of Attitude is Altitude, which is a motivational speaking company, which allows me to go to corporations and marketplaces to bring in character and values and attitudes and team building, coaching, speaking, training on many, many aspects. I'm so glad that you talked about my wife, Tom. I'm very, very glad that Barbara and Paul connected us, and Chris and Tom, I've gotten to know you a little bit more and your dream and your vision, and you got to see my dream and goal to literally reach the world. You know, I think if we had a virtual reality experience. Now, I don't know what your doctrine is of this life. I don't know if you believe in an afterlife, but let's just pretend, because I do, but let's just pretend we're in the afterlife and we put our virtual reality goggles, so we're going backwards in time to today. And after my last breath, I'm in an afterlife and I'm rewinding now. Right now, I've got my virtual goggles on and I've got my earphones on in what I'm thinking, in what I'm feeling, in what I'm saying after I'm gone. I'm here today in San Jose, California with you today. I think one of the greatest grievances of society, looking back, out of all the generations that have ever been born, it is going to be our generation so far that will have the most mourning of all. Mourning in what could have been done. You know, when any company actually goes to a point of launching a product, one of the things in the budgets that they must consider is the budget of educating the market. Why they need to buy your product. You know, and as an accountant, you look at goodwill when you buy out companies. I don't want to talk about goodwill. I want to talk about the will of good. How much are we prepared to be members of society to spark fires for good? And I've seen some stuff around the world. I have. And I don't need to give you statistics of the brokenness of our world today. But just to tell you, I have been in front of billionaires and I've been in front of sex slaves who were kidnapped at 10 years old, bought for $700, sold by their own mother. And we know a society that to whom much is given, much is expected and required. You look at a man without arms and legs who actually understands the big secret of reaching your full potential is not about what we don't have yet. It's not about what we did not do yesterday. It's about making the most of what you have today. And instead of me complaining about having no arms and legs, and us being also focused on the future, which is fantastic. By the way, I love that logo, Tom. You can throw me up higher because I'm less weight, all right? I'll tell you what I see, that extra foot, all right? But I'll tell you right now, I'm very excited to be here in front of you all because just to have such a nonprofit organization to come together to build this up, we don't know what aspirations this organization really will be able to unfold. When I, as a parent, and I talk to other parents about the future of access of content, we all know what access many people can actually see and use. It's interesting how you also use the word, Tom, trust. The child trusts the adult. I believe that we've never had a generation with so much mistrust, misuse of trust, where the next generation is just going to figure it out themselves. When mom and dad say something, they don't really listen a lot. When the teacher says something, they don't really listen a lot. But when the friends say something, they listen a lot. And what do the friends listen to? Not their parents all the time, media and content that they see and other friends. I want you to know that this world is starving for hope. And when I talk about justice and making the world a better place, I really believe we are the generation to actually end world hunger. I'm not talking my generation, but some of you teenagers with gray hair or no hair. I think before you die, that we will actually see a whole new world of good. Now, I'm not just trying to say something just because I'm saying something, but let me tell you about the root of why people want to do good. I haven't met personally yet many people who don't want to do good. Can you put your hand up if you've ever donated to a cause? Put your hand up. Okay, think of that cause. Keep your hand up. Put your hand down if you stopped giving to that cause. Okay, about 40%. Put it down. Put your hand down. Who wants to make the world a better place? Who wants to save lives? Do you know that 40% of attempted suicide in America teenage lives is because of bullying at school? We did anonymous surveys in 290 schools. I get people to bow their head, put their hand up in the air, and I ask them 4 sensitive questions about if they've ever thought of committing suicide, if they tried to commit suicide, if they tried to commit suicide because of a broken home or abusive situation, or they tried to commit suicide because of bullying at school. 40%, 4,300 teenagers in this country commit suicide every single year. The greatest rate of suicide in the world is Asia because of the culture to perform. That's why the Chinese government has asked me many times when the global economic crisis came, students were jumping off university buildings every single day. They had to put a cap on how many suicides they had to report publicly. Now the Chinese government, this September, is putting me at the Bird's Nest Stadium in front of 80,000 youth and put me live to 100 million people in China at one given time. You see, there are a lot of great things that we can achieve in this world as human beings, but I tell you, there is nothing like giving this world hope. It's wonderful to think of the technology that we're going to be able to, with virtual reality, be able to even have people experience touch eventually. But we can't forget to touch the souls. We can't forget to save the lives. We can't forget to feed the hungry. We can't forget to rescue the slaves. We can't forget. And I believe that many people who eventually have some money in the bank, and I'm not talking a lot of money, there are many people that I've met who are generous. And it's not about how much they give. It is the thought that counts. Every donation that you gave started with somebody telling you a need. And if they were good enough to tell you, communicating perfectly to you exactly who they are, what they do, and how you can help them, you then have a choice. I believe we went through a revolution in the 1990s. In communicating to the world. It was communication. Before the internet, while cell phones were not even out in Australia at that time, the big move was, did you hear about how much the world is suffering? Did you hear that there are people who are being human trafficked? Did you hear about the poor people in Africa? Did you hear? Guess what? We've heard enough about the broken world. No one's interested to know more about any more brokenness in the world because we've nearly heard everything already. Do you want to know what I, though, as personally a person who gives out money to good causes, would love to see? Exactly where my money goes. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't it be cool to have virtual reality Airstream RVs that travel around the country, and there are 1,000 different nonprofits that are represented with 1,000 Airstreams, and forget about saying, well, one day come to Cambodia and see the orphanage that you supported. No, look at the virtual reality experience. Look at these children. Carry that 360-degree camera out to the brothels of Mumbai or Cambodia or Bolivia or Dominican Republic or Haiti. I believe that the next revolution of communication and information is not just more information. It's actually capturing the good that people are doing. Why haven't we yet seen 400 million people give $1 a day? Is it that hard to change the world? Can we do something that is not just revolutionary, but changes people's lives. My question is, who are you and what do you want? And I encourage you to dream big. I really do. I love VR, and anything you do in your life, dream big. I never thought that something I've never even dreamt of would come true. You know, one of my favorite parts of Avatar is when that guy who doesn't walk walks. Have you seen that film? Dude, when I saw that for the first time, I had goosebumps all over my body. And my first experience with VR was in a computer game with like these zombies and things attacking me and stuff. And I was in a hospital in the virtual reality experience. And you could do everything, right? You could look down and you see everything. Guess what then I did? I looked down and I'm like, I got legs. It freaked me out. That was the first thought. The second thought, those legs are not sexy. And then I look left and I look at my left hand. I look right and I look at my right hand. And I want you to know to redeem and fulfill some things that the human spirit wants or desires or can be changed forever in. You and I can be conduits of hope for people. Hope is everything. Rich or poor, sick or healthy. If you have hope, you have everything. My dad, we buried my dad. Is it today, Saturday? Or is it Friday today? Tomorrow, 2 weeks ago, we buried my father, Boris Vujicic. He had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I want you to know that I wish my children knew who their grandpa was. Let me ask you a question. It's not just about making the world a better place, but enriching the lives of the ones that you love the most. How can any of this enrich our lives on a whole new level? My dad's wish was to go back to his home country one more time, Serbia. He couldn't go. I wish that we could sit down in virtual reality room and my dad could answer questions that my great-great-great-grandchildren can ask. That technology already is out there on hologram. And I want you to know that you and your legacy, who you are and what you want will show. But I want to ask you, how do you want to be remembered? If a man without arms and legs can dream big, then so can you. I want you to know that in learning experiences, we know that the greatest lessons we learn, really, we wish we could learn from other people's mistakes, but more often than not, we learn from our own experiences. We are so thankful that we can do many, many things. For me, I believe virtual reality is a megaphone for the good. Yes, there will be a bad side. Yes, we'll probably need to see, how would you say, restricted viewing, filtering system for only content acceptable for families. But I want you to know I've met so many people whose lives will be changed if, though, people want change to be brought into the world. I'm 34 years old and my dreams are big. And one of the biggest dreams that I have is to not just educate with fun and fascination, but to help change the world. I will, by the grace of my Creator, of God, I hope to one day get together with my friends, Novak Djokovic, Manny Pacquiao, Cacao, and many other celebrities. I have about 10 million social media fans today. 2 years ago, our Facebook page was the fastest organically growing and most engaging page that Facebook had ever seen at that 2-month time frame. We haven't even started yet. I tried to actually do motivational videos in 36 different languages. So I set up 36 different YouTube and Facebook accounts. YouTube shut me down. And there's no customer service with YouTube, by the way. 6 hours and 49 minutes later, they pick up and hang up. Let me just tell you, all right? But I want you to know that some of us who want to dream big, maybe you've had that spark once in your life. Maybe it was when you were a teenager. Maybe it was when you were just out of college. Maybe it was just when you got married and you told your wife, hey, babe, one day I want to make a difference. Has that day come? Today is that day to rekindle that fire. I want you to know that hope is everything. Many people think that money, drugs, sex, alcohol, pornography, fame, and fortune, that's what we put ourselves into, right? We look at our world logically. We look after ourselves. That's the biggest notion of the human spirit. Got to protect myself, got to preserve myself. We know that that's subconscious and conscious. But for me, in my life, I've spoken to many people. And many people want miracles. But what I tell people is when you don't get a miracle, you can be one. I'll never forget in my life when I was 24 years old looking out at a crowd of people about this size, and a man was holding up a little child with no arms and no legs, just like me. And I looked at him like, wow, I want to wrestle him later on. And I got the father to bring up the little child right here, and little 19-month-old Daniel's looking up at me, and I'm looking down at him. And I can't give him a high five, so I gave him a low two. And when I did that, he smiled, and when he smiled, everyone cried. And his mom came up to me, and she wept, and she said, now I know that there's a greater purpose for my son's life. See, what is the point of having everything but purpose? You can have arms and legs, but not purpose. And maybe the missing part in your soul, the missing part in your spirit, the missing part in your mind or in your 10-year strategic plan is actually making sure that you leave this world a better place. And now since then, I've met 30 limbless people all around the world, and my parents were able to encourage those parents. And the legacy that we learn, we must leave behind. But I want to ask you two things. Who are you and what do you want? I want to talk to your heart real quick. I met 8-year-olds. I love speaking to 8-year-olds. Anyone have an 8-year-old or not long ago? It feels like yesterday they were all 8, right? And I was in front of an elementary school group of kids and I said, hey guys, can I ask you a question? They're like, uh-huh. And I said, have you ever in your life been stressed? They're like, uh-huh. And I'm like, well, what's stressing you out? Oh, homework is so hard, and my siblings, they annoy me every single day. I'm so stressed out. My mom and dad don't give me everything I want. I'm like, I'm so sorry, right? But I'm not, right? I'm like, get over it, little kid, right? That's what you think, right? Oh, but then you're 13 years old. Do you remember when you were 13? It was like maybe one of the most stressful moments of your teenage decade. Oh, everything around me is changing. Oh, my friends, I thought I could trust them. They backstabbed me. They invited me to the party, then they uninvited me to the party. My parents are freaking me out. They don't understand me. I feel like I need to have some privacy and figure out who I am. And you put a do not disturb sign on your door, and your parents still come into your room and they're freaking you out. Right? You're totally stressed out. Then after high school, you got to get into college. If I could just get into the right college, then everything's going to be what? Okay. You get into college and is everything okay? Absolutely not. Now what do you need? Money. Oh, if I can just find a job, then everything's going to be okay. And you finally get your job, and after 2 days, you look at your boss in the face and you look to the heavens and say, really? You gave me him? I hate him. Then all the single people, they just can't wait to get married, because when I get married, then everything's going to be okay. Yes or no? No way. Go talk to some married people if you don't believe me. Honey, if you ain't happy single, you ain't going to be happy married. Who are you? You want to know the greatest exercise to know who you are is? Ready? Stand up, sit up straight. Put your hands on your knees. Take a deep breath in and out. You have 30 seconds to breathe. 25. When was the last time you hugged your wife? When was the last time you gave someone a bunch of flowers or a hug? When was the last time you went up to your friends and said, thank you for being my friend? You got 15 seconds. What regrets do you have? Who do you need to call? Who do you need to say sorry to? Some of you need to forgive yourself of what you've done wrong. Some of you feel like you know the negative things out there and people who kind of, restricting me from my full potential. You might be the greatest restriction of your full potential today. It's time to get out of the way. It's time to, first of all, be thankful for what we have and do our best and embrace today as if it's our last. Knowing that no amount of money in the world can ever give you hope. Give you a lot of things, but not happiness or joy. One of the greatest joys we'll ever experience is to give something to someone who can never repay you. Are you a generous person? Do you have the will for good? I remember when I was younger. You can get your hands off your knees if you want, that's fine. But isn't that a good exercise? Isn't that something? I used to have a really big passion when I was a teenager. I'm going to go reach the world. Some levels I have at 34 and I'm not done yet. I don't think I'll ever be, but I'll die trying. Some of us think that we just need to rest upon the billionaires of the world to make a better place. Money does change the world. Corruption stops a lot of it. But then you have examples like Sir Richard Branson, who buys 1,000 acres in the middle of Africa, builds a runway, comes in with a 747 jet, with 500 motorbikes, mobile doctor units, and 500 volunteering doctors go for 2 weeks to a village to medicate the sick for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they go back on the plane, and the planes come with another 500 doctors with refreshed medical supplies. How many millions of dollars do we need to feed this whole world? Whatever the number is, let's do it. How many millions of people do we need to get on board and say, you know what, I'll give $1 a day? Do you know what the biggest thing is, guys? Trust, 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 and trust. And virtual reality gives us and technology a permanent, once placed there, you cannot remove it. You can never backtrack technology. It would only be superseding and making it better. I believe that in your lifetime, we will see an army of people to say, if we can put enough 360-degree cameras around the world to exactly keep accountable exactly where the money goes, it's not about a lack of will of good. It's not about the lack of money. It's about the lack of trust. And maybe you haven't thought of that being the greatest asset this society doesn't have yet. We don't even have children trusting their own parents. We have parents not even trusting their own children. Forget about society and governments and nonprofits and red tape and corruption. We, I believe, are seeing a path being built of accountability. Amongst the world of very bad things that virtual reality may bring, just like the internet did, nothing new. I ask you to stand up with this nonprofit organization and be counted for the good that virtual reality, technology, and will for good can do to change our world. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. No worries. Can we do a couple questions?
Thank you so much.
Give me a hug.
Oh, it's so fantastic. I
Love you.
my eyes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vic.
I finished like 10 minutes early, just in case you guys wanted to do a couple more questions.
Yes,
with me.
on Slido.com we have questions coming up, and so if we have some slides and then some questions
Wonderful.
for you, Vic, that'd be awesome.
Thank you. Just to let you know, the website that we have is attitudesaltitude.com. You can find me, Nick Vujicic, on Facebook. We have about 9 million just on Facebook following. And our greatest initiative that we have moving forward is really helping governments bring in character and values throughout their education system. I was with the president of Slovenia, and he stopped the whole country to have me live on TV to speak to every teenager in his country about bullying, never giving up, dreaming big, loving each other, and loving yourself. And so that's our biggest initiative that we have, which is trying to bring in a positive foundation of values for the next generation. So we're most excited about that. I know you didn't ask me a question, but I wanted to add that in because I didn't tell you that before.
Well, we have the questions down here. So
Great.
The first one is, are you concerned about some negative consequences of VR, and where do you see a concern?
You know what? The only there are a lot of negative things that's going to happen from anything. Whatever is created can be used for good or for bad. That's a knife for cutting food and a knife for killing somebody. Period. So and that's only going to get more, I think, though, on a whole new level, a little scary. Because it's kind of being 2D, just watching things on screen, but it's only a matter of time to get experiential with everything, from the good and the bad. I think it's a megaphone. I see the VR technology as a megaphone. And the voices of bad will be louder and more cruel, and I think more evil will be accessed by the next generations. But I also feel like there's not a lot we can do in essence except to get 3 steps ahead and make a platform of which filtering systems as much as possible. Again, though, that's going to be very hard to control. So I think that's the one jet engine to kind of mitigate risk. The other thing is to put up that other left engine of the jet plane, which is letting the good people's voice be heard on the megaphone. That doesn't discount or cancel anything, but I'm really scared about the sexual immorality that's going to happen. I've met 5 or 6 year olds who already are addicted to pornography in my local area in Southern California, actually a really good area. Met my friend's daughter got raped. She's 9 years old and got raped by another 9-year-old in the restroom. And it's the 3rd account of rape in elementary school that I personally know of in the last year. No joke. I'm homeschooling my kids. I'm going to do a hybrid of such and take them around the world and give them education around the world. But that's not the answer either, though. I think, though, virtual reality on the educational level for the little kids especially, though, I think homeschooling may get a little bit more attractive. So I think each to their own. I am concerned. You have to be on guard as much as possible, and we have to be proactive as much as we can. But ready or not, here it comes. I don't know. That's not such a good answer, but it's a wonderful question.
Next question is, how do you keep hope in this time with all the stress and all the crisis and so forth? And how can we make a change because it's in daunting times?
I think one of the things, after my dad died, I started doing, actually this is the first time I'm publicly saying this. I'm actually writing thoughts and things that I want my great-great-great-grandchildren to know in writing. It's one thing for us subconsciously as parents, I think, to assume that the way that we parent our children will actually have good influence on how they raise their children. But it's really a 50-50% because you've got a hybrid of an in-law, right? No, I'm just joking. But to be more serious, though, is I want 100 years from now hard copy books of my thoughts or encouragement to my lineage. And that is a way for visionaries. For me, I'm a visionary, and I'm always caught up in the problems and 10 years ahead, and I just take over territory, and I'm already thinking, before I even sit down and raise a glass to toast, my mind's already thinking about, okay, what are we doing next? What are we doing next? What are we doing next? And so for me, writing down thoughts and knowing that my great-great-great-grandchildren that I will not meet here on earth will actually read some unpublished things that's only going to be for my blood lineage. And that's my way to pause, stop with prayer and meditation, my faith in Jesus and knowing heaven is real. I have hope that I'm going to see my dad again. So my hope is not just in this world, but it's also, though, taking time to stop and be thankful for what you have. And that's something that I do in my life to do that. That was the positive part. What was the other part?
How can we make a change?
How can we make a change? Make small steps. Just do something. Do something. I don't care how big your dream is. I don't care how small your dream is. Just do something because it counts. You may not see the fruit grow on the tree, but you know the tree's planted or the seed's planted. And you got to plant the seeds. You can't just have, no farmer gets a bucket of seeds and just gets one little seed out of the bucket and puts it in the ground, crosses his arms and waits. No, he gets that whole bucket and he scatters all the seeds because some may not take. Go for it and scatter your dreams in a good way. Plant those seeds. Do something today.
Awesome. Do you see society eventually getting desensitized by 360 VR experiences on causes in some way? We have causes in the same way. Have we become the communication revolution?
I believe it is a communication revolution for sure. Again, the scary thing is people who do bad as well are fueled by fantasies. And so this might add fuel to the fire of fantasies, good or bad. My fantasy is to make the world a better place. So all I want to do is focus on what I can do with that technology to make the world a better place and keep my heart and ears open to how it can benefit the world and how we can help people not be burnt by the fire that will be beginning. I don't know if we'd be desensitized. I don't know what's next. I mean, the only next thing would be teleporting after VR, that you're actually there. I mean, if you can smell, touch, feel, hear, and see everything, I mean, the only next best thing for that is to actually be there. And we're already places in the world, but I mean, teleporting's a stupid idea to me. Like, maybe it's not to you, but to me, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's ever going to be possible. But then again, you guys might actually do something with technology one day. Who knows? I'm not the guy in technology. I don't think, though, that 360-degree cameras will really, with the feeling and the touch. I think when the internet came, we couldn't think any bigger. When VR's here, I can't think of anything bigger. But here's something to guarantee. Someone will eventually. That's crazy. Isn't that crazy? That's nuts. So, hey, I just went to Italy and back. How crazy is that, right? Can you imagine something? I mean, what's the next magnitude? Have no idea.
So how do you teach people trust?
Yeah, where is that question so I can read
the second one, the white one.
Second
How do you
good.
teach people trust? To be empathetic, generous, at home, at school, and I wonder where this starts. And by the way, thank you for being such an amazing influence.
Thank you. First of all, to go to empathetic and generous. Wait, can you put that back on? Oh, yeah,
top.
good. It's up there. To really be generous and empathetic, there are ridiculous stats amounting in regards to how many people say that they're depressed. Okay? The 3 greatest ways to get out of depression, I'll tell you why I'm saying this, is to actually be thankful for what you have, write it down, and go help someone else in need. When you actually go try and be a miracle for someone else, and again, that epiphany of adrenaline and soul feeling good when you can give someone something that they can't repay you in, it actually pulled me out of the pit of depression. I was suicidal. I tried and attempted suicide at age 10. I felt like giving up. I was bullied. I was down. And what I did through my coping mechanism is to actually put a photo of an orphan on my mirror. an orphan in Africa that I'll never meet, don't know who she was, but every day I went through my life, no matter how bad my life was, I knew that when I get through today, I'm a day closer to helping that orphan. And at age 19, I went into stock market investing at 17, real estate investing at 19, went in options trading. At age 19, went in real estate, bought a house, and then I gave away the rest of my life savings to orphans in Africa at age 19. And so I want you to know that when you have a vision for not just surviving, but thriving, that whole thing of empathy and generosity, discover the secret even for yourself, to give to people who cannot return anything. To trust, that's a hard one. But you have to actually see it from this philosophy. You know how much trust you need to have a best friend, and you know how much a best friend means to you when you're in the pits and depression. Be a friend to someone that you're not yet. If you want to have a best friend, sometimes you got to be one first. Sometimes you got to put yourself out there first before someone starts trusting you. In a society where there is no trust, man, if you look at countries around the world, I cry when I know things that society doesn't know about different. I've been in 63 countries. I've been to Mexico 30 times, Singapore 18 times, Hong Kong 12 times. You understand? 2,500 planes. I see the world changing right in front of my eyes, and I have friends in 63 countries. They're telling me what's going on and how the trust isn't there. We need to establish, I believe, with technology, this is the way I think it's going to happen. When the next generation is the generation looking to live for something and die for something. I haven't found a young person that doesn't want to change the world. If we can establish that the young people trust each other, then let's do so there. And that's where we start. And maybe the adults will follow. I think trust starts with us and creating an atmosphere for the same common goal and vision. That's the foundation of change. That's the foundation of actually anything good in this world. Trust. Trust. Marriage. Family. Friends. Your company that you work for. Your boss. Your employees. Every relationship is based on trust. If there are no relationships, what do? Trust, trust, trust. How can we build a real reality through virtual reality of real trust?
Next one. In many ways, tech is driving us away from each other. Rather than relying upon tech to solve our problems, shouldn't we put it in a way each day to reconnect?
It's so cool. You know what? You can, but imagine all the billions of people who are not connected yet. Okay, so one of the apps that I'm designing, I'm just going to tell you right now, okay? I don't care if you steal it from me, go and do it, okay? Before Costco made it domesticated to get a baby grand piano with a self-playing robot through MIDI files. Do you understand what I'm talking about? If you don't, I don't have time to explain it. But basically, I don't play piano, so my piano plays itself through Wi-Fi on my phone. Before Costco did that with Yamaha, I did my own. And I had it in my home last year. And I have a concept drawing and a business plan of basically, imagine the orphans, right? So putting all this together. I understand, well, how are we going to lose connection? Well, then teach your children to not text you in your own home. Forget about this fear. They're already disconnected in your own home. If your own home is disconnected, don't talk to me about disconnecting other connected people if your family's disconnected already with text. Okay? But if you imagine now connecting people who are not connected. What I did, we had a party at my house and I paid a pianist $70 an hour for 3 hours to play my piano. Okay? And I thought to myself, going around the world, I've actually met, literally face-to-face, about 250,000 orphans. Imagine an orphan, or just say this, an orphan from Mexico, okay, same time zone as PST, or Central Time, and I'm in Dallas, and I have a screen of an orphan playing my piano live through Wi-Fi. I can't tell you how many amazingly talented autistic children cannot get a job any higher than washing dishes at BJ's restaurant. But they are unbelievable artists. There is an undiscovered tap of resource, not just connecting senior citizens to the world again, but bringing the people who cannot really connect, even face to face. And you open up their world, and you pay that orphan $10 an hour. You change that world of that one orphan. And there's a way that you can use that technology, and having 10,000 pianos across the United States of America who's fans of, let's say, Elton John. And Elton John does a virtual reality concert in 10,000 homes, everyone paying $500 to bring all their friends and family to an exclusive concert. It's not just technology that can make money, it's connecting people who would never have had a job, who would never have been feeling like they have a purpose. Imagine that orphan, imagine that autistic person who is not yet really connected yet. That is what I focus on. Sorry, I get passionate. Do you see that? So anyway, that's...
Everyone get that down?
No problem.
To make some calls.
Yeah, but that's to me, that's what I get excited about.
Awesome.
Sorry, am I taking too much time? Am I good?
Oh, we're going to wrap that up.
Oh, cool.
I just want to say that that was a fantastic question to end on.
Oh, good.
Beautiful answer.
Good.
And it gives us something to work on as well as other ideas you've given us. So.
It's such an honor to be here. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone, for having me here. I kind of feel like I don't actually even belong on this stage, but to be here on this stage, to try and inspire seeds of hope and inspiration for you to use technology on a whole new level, let me just tell you, this thing called the smartphone changed my life. It changed my life. And after 2 cups of coffee, I can now type 53 words a minute. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Give me a hug.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. That is awesome.